Warp particles.
Warp particles.
Hi, this is Sean Ferrick from Trek Culture. You are listening to Spock the Week podcast.
Welcome to Spock the Week, the show where two pals attempt to talk about Star Trek. Each week we will be discussing a different topic and bringing you some laughs, some jokes, and occasionally a Gregor rant. If you like what you are listening to, then please consider subscribing to us on the platform of your choice, and also you can follow us on Twitter at Spock Week, and also on Facebook by searching Spock the Week. If you like what you are listening to as well, you can support the show by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Spock the Week pod. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Welcome back everybody to another episode of Spock the Week. This week I am joined as always by my good friend and co-host Gregor Cameron, not some random American from Toadsuck Studios in the United States. So don't let the accent fool you, it genuinely is Gregor. How are you doing, my good man?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, yeah. That was awful. That was really awful. I think the jig is up.
Oh, that was brilliant. Good effort, my friend. Good effort.
Yeah, well, you know, I gotta try.
God loves a trier. God loves a trier. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who, for some strange reason, are Gregor Cameron fans, Crabbit Ginger fans, unfortunately, due to his busy schedule and the fact that he's having to move house this week, he is unable to record Spock the Week with me this week. So, in his place, Dan Decker, host of Bad Choices and Bourbon, has very kindly agreed to step in and fill in for Gregor. So,
yeah,
thank you very much for doing that. That's it's always nice to have two people to bounce off of on these things. You know, I can talk for love and forever and a day, but it just gets boring. So it's nice to have something to bounce off of.
Absolutely. You know, that's the whole nature of my show, is to yammer on for a good bit, but not specific to Star Trek. So it's always a pleasure to get to come around to my friends' houses and talk about Star Trek.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do this week, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to talk about Lower Decks. Now, it's been released in the States now for a little while, since last year. So, unfortunately, it's taken a little bit of time to get over to the UK. If you are listening in other parts of the world and you have not seen it, please save this episode, find a way to watch it, and then come back, because we will be talking about spoilers here.
We'll straight up spoil it for sure.
Oh, definitely. So if you for some reason America and you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. If you are in the UK and you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. Come back. By the time this episode airs, they should have released all of the episodes from season 1. So you should have had plenty of time to binge watch it by now. Right. So, Dan, Lower Decks. What's your opinions on it, bud? Let's start with that first of all.
Oh, sure. Well, funny that you ask that, because I don't recall whether yesterday or today that Gregor actually posted a poll as to whether folks might think he would like it or not. And, you know, I did answer that. You know, my answer was, Gregor, no, I didn't think that you would. But it is 100%. I mean, just like all comedy, it is subjective to the viewer. And so if you are open to the comedy that it's trying to present, and if you are willing to let it tell you a story, because surprise, there's a story in there, it's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, and there's several episodes of some YouTube out there where I got to talk about it quite a lot, and it is you know, it's an enjoyable piece of Star Trek. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I've also been on YouTube as well, talking about Lower Decks with our mutual friend and fellow content creator, Trek Lad. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to talk about Lower Decks with him. And on one of my appearances on Let's Talk About Lower Decks, I distinctly remember doing a rather good Larry the Cable Guy impression.
Oh, did you? You want to try that again? You want to give that a go again?
No, maybe later. Maybe later when I finish this bourbon. But yeah, I was extremely excited about the fact that we got to see the Titan. Spoilers. Mm-hmm. And a certain Starfleet officer of a certain reputation. And by mentioning the Titan, you should know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Our Commander Riker. Well, Captain Riker.
Captain Riker. Oh. So, yeah, I mean, on that note, one of the things personally I really enjoyed about Lower Decks was its ability to name drop and reference Star Trek, previous Star Trek, current Star Trek, whatever, but do it in a way that was not, what's the word I'm trying to think of here?
Well, it was tongue-in-cheek, but not disrespectful.
Exactly, yeah, I would agree with that. And it was brilliant because it made, I mean, one of the things I loved about it was we got a little nod to Miles O'Brien.
Mm-hmm. A really good one.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic reference. And I was a bit skeptical at first going into this.
I was as well.
I thought, well, an animation. Now, the only other animated Star Trek series we've ever had in the past was the original series animated offering. And I have tried to watch it, but it's not because I don't like it, because, I mean, it is really good. The stories are really good from the episodes that I have seen. It's just that style of animation. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, I mean, it's of its time.
It's not the best at all.
It's not aged well. If the stories would work if they redid it with using modern, up-to-date animation techniques.
Right.
I think it would hold up in that. But then again, some people like the old retro. I mean, I know people who will only watch the original Scooby-Doos, for example, or the original Tom and Jerry's. They don't like the new animations, or each to their very own. Right. But having said that, when going back to my point, when Lower Decks was announced, I was like, okay, I'm a little excited because it's something different. I wasn't sure what I was going to get. And when I found out it was the same people who worked on Rick and Morty, I was like, okay, is it going to be Rick and Morty-esque in its style? And the only thing that's really follows over from that really is the animation style, the style of the drawing, the characters and stuff like that. Everything else is just spot on. Yeah, in the artistic sense, yeah.
And and I had all of those, I kind of felt the same way, especially, on the Rick and Morty side. I've not ever put a lot of time into that show. I'm sure it would be fine if I did. And again, I've enjoyed the animated series, but like you said, it is a product of its time, and it's definitely not for everyone. But one thing Lower Decks did, or does, because it's still active and currently in production, but one of the things that it's done is it's validated a lot of Star Trek lore, because it is a canon show, now, and that's the reason these things take place on a ship like the Cerritos, out in these places that mainline shows are not likely to touch. But what happens on the Cerritos and in the universe with the friends in the lower decks actually takes place in the, in the main Star Trek Prime timeline. And that's where, Riker coming in to save the day, that happened in our history. And that could very well be referenced at some point in Discovery or some show in the future, right? That event took place. But so much, and because of that, though, there are so many references and things that come back up that are borrowed from Trek's rich lore that validate so much of us as fans, and I think shows that the show indicates that the show is being made by people who care, who know, and who enjoy Star Trek as much as we do. And I think too, we see more and more and more of that coming to the surface with modern Trek and its production, with folks like Noah and the crew who have embraced the fandom to a degree that wasn't possible before outside of conventions. Let's give credit to the legacy cast and those folks who came before, who have embraced us as fans at conventions and continue to do so on social media. But this current crop, having grown up with us, some of them being our age and younger or about the same, and having come up on the internet like we have, and grown up and or adopted social media as adults, they've embraced that as a mechanism and have taken to it. And the Lower Decks cast included. Heck, man, I just happened to get mentioned in a tweet about how great it is to be a crazy nut job Star Trek fan, and someone commented, and it wasn't even tagged. Someone commented that, hey, I heard, that kind of the Lower Decks crew lurk around on the internet looking for conversation. And if Mike McMahon didn't come by and give the side eye look emojis, man, come on. It was incredible. And so I responded with, Mariner doing the conspiracy board.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's that interaction that lets you know that they're having a good time. And I feel like they're having a good time for us, or with us, more importantly. Yeah. But, if we had those jobs, oh, my God, we would be just like this, right?
Exactly. One of the beautiful things about the time in which all this new Trek is being made, it means that the gratification for both the fans and the actors is almost instantaneous. Right. And that can be a good thing, because it means that they don't have to wait, especially for the international fans as well, which when you talk about TNG, for example, we had to. It was as I was growing up, so I didn't really understand this. But my dad and friends of his age tell me that they had to wait almost even a year after it was originally released in the US before the likes of the BBC, for example, started to show episodes of TNG on UK television. And even then, it wasn't even in chronological order. A bit like...
So it's what they could get when they could get it, I guess.
Pretty much. It's a bit like the Sci-Fi Channel now, and I don't know if it does the same in the States, but when the Sci-Fi Channel here in the UK, it airs episodes of Star Trek, and you're like, oh, this is say, for example, Voyager Year of Hell. You thought, oh, it's Year of Hell Part 1, right, I'll get into watching that. Okay, so usually they put two together, so they'll put two Star Trek shows together. So it'd be like Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or TNG, and in various different orders. So you'd start watching the Year of Hell Part 1 and thought, right, brilliant. Okay, next episode of Voyager. It's not even the same season. It's not. It's like, if you're gonna put a two-parter on, put the second parter on after the first parter. But
it's like no one's paying attention.
No, they're just going, right, there's that one and that one, and they just throw it out there. Come on, Sci-Fi Channel, sort it out. If you're gonna play them in order.
Remembered, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, unless you depends on which system you use, because if you use the Netflix system, it's different from the DVD system.
It is. You're right. Sometimes they count sometimes they count the longer pilot, 2-part pilots as one episode, depending on which service you look at or which disc you put in. But yeah, it's such a great time to be a fan and have so much content right now. And with Lower Decks coming to the UK or worldwide international market finally, I know so many people who tried really hard to stay unspoiled, and I know that it was probably difficult. If you manage to stay unspoiled, that is a super heroic effort. Bravo to you, because some of us just couldn't keep our mouth shut long enough, and it's been 6 months now. It's been 6 months now, and that's unfortunate. And hopefully, with the upcoming rollout of Paramount Plus and the worldwide availability of it, that won't be something that we have to really fuss with. What I'd like to see is day and date with when it drops in the U.S., as it were. When Paramount sees fit that a new episode is available, it should be available everywhere, so that we don't even have to have the 24 to 48 hour embargo, and that we can embrace and enjoy all of our new Trek together worldwide. Because we're 6 hours apart right now, and you and I talking about this across 2 continents and a very large ocean. And so, Trek is everywhere. It's all over the globe. We have friends in Australia. We have friends in Hawaii. We have friends in every part of the world. And having to kind of tiptoe around and sidestep, and the fact that we can't all enjoy it at the same time, that's a silly problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, that has been one of the major issues for Star Trek fans here in the UK, and one issue I've always had with CBS is lack of empathy to fans outside of the US.
Right.
In the sense that
antithetical to Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like Lower Decks, for example, is a perfect example. Now, there have been many theories as to why it was never given an international distribution deal straight away. Now, clearly, this one has been debunked because it has been released on Amazon here in the UK. But some people believe that it was getting held back because of the launch of Paramount Plus.
Right.
Which we've known about for a little while. So a few people was like, oh, are they holding it back so it gets released on that? Obviously, that's now been debunked because we now have it on Amazon Prime here. So, but the thing is why didn't they release it at the same time? Because there have been so many people here that I've seen on Twitter, on Facebook, and other social media platforms that have been screaming out, why are we not getting it now? When are we going to get it? That was the rhetoric the whole way through. And unless you had a friend who had, in your case, like a Plex, or somebody had a VPN and knew somebody from the States that had a Netflix account there, or a CBS Plus, whatever. Unless means in order to legally, I might add, watch it, then you missed out. And that sort of, it's a little bit of not a kick in the teeth, but it's a little bit, come on, CBS. I mean, not all of Star Trek fans live in the United States. It's a worldwide, a huge worldwide phenomenon.
Exactly.
Which brings me on to my next point, which is Paramount Plus is a good thing that is going to be a worldwide streaming platform.
Right.
Brilliant. However, does that mean that all Star Trek will now be exclusively released on Paramount Plus? Meaning that people with Netflix accounts or Amazon accounts would have to either pay for their Star Trek on. If you get you see where I'm going with this,
right?
Or
well,
would they have
to the US model?
Yeah. So it's, I mean, don't get me wrong. Personally, I think it would be a great thing to have everything in one place, to have all of and it's not just Star Trek. It's going to be everything that Paramount does, right. Everything that Paramount has done.
CBS Paramount.
Yeah. CBS, yeah. So there's going to be so much content, and I think, to be perfectly honest with you, if they put on the content free to stream to subscribers, then I think this is going to be well worth the money. Right. Personally, because CBS, Paramount, and Viacom, in their various forms over the years, have done some brilliant TV, film, etc., etc.
Well, and it's nice to have it all under one roof again. And I will say this, as I have been a CBS All Access subscriber since the drop to watch Star Trek Discovery. And I kept it after the free trial, and I kept it after Discovery went on hiatus. And I have subscribed consistently since day one. I've never not paid for a subscription to CBS All Access. I also pay the premium to have it without commercials because screw that. I hate commercials. And I subscribe to Patreon so that I can have the commercial free, and then I'll listen to the commercial version anyway, just so that creators get credit for the play. But anyhow, I am not down for that. So if a service offers a commercial free tier, I have the idiot disposable income to pay for it, and I will. Adding another subscription service for me is it's like it's almost too dumb that it should. I mean, I should make more of a decision out of it than I do. I just get them, except for Peacock. I haven't paid for that, but we have most of that through Hulu. So whatever. Anyway, the point is, I've paid for CBS All Access since the beginning, and it's only ever gotten better. Okay, there's only been more content added, more of the CBS and Viacom channels, properties like BET and MTV and Nickelodeon, and Avatar and Korra have all come to there, and so for what I'm saying is the value has continued to add to that subscription for the same price. And I don't anticipate that price changing when it becomes Paramount Plus. And I do anticipate the library of content to grow. And it will be nice to have all of my Trek content in one place, because I expect that all of the movies will now be available in one place. But I hope, too, that they stay available on other platforms. Trek here in the States is available on Netflix for the shows. Mm-hmm. Now, this is only the TV shows. You can get the shows on Netflix. You can get the shows on Hulu, and you can get the shows on Amazon Prime, all as part of those subscriptions. I have those subscriptions. We have those subscriptions as a family for other shows. And Amazon Prime comes with the shipping and all the other benefits. So we have those services regardless. So it's nice to have Trek no matter where I am. Now the films tend to be some here, some there. But on the average, you can find all of them available through either CBS or through Hulu or through Amazon. The movies are never on Netflix in the States. But also I own them all.
They're not on Netflix here. They were for a little while.
Oh, so Netflix, there was a period. It's just the shows, but it also includes It includes Discovery, but not Picard. Right.
Not Picard, no, because we've got this is the weird thing, is that Discovery is Netflix, but Picard was given to Amazon for the international distribution. And now right. Discovery is a CBS All Access in the US, isn't it?
They all are. So Picard, Discovery, Lower Decks, it's all under CBS All Access here. And one cool thing is I logged in the app today. on my TV, and it was promoting Paramount Plus, and front and center was our latest captain and queen of Trek, Michael Burnham, Seneca Morton Green, on the main menu there. And I thought, what a treasure, what a treat to see that promoting Paramount Plus front and center. Yeah, with SpongeBob and Patrick. Get it all
now,
in there.
Just seeing as you've actually brought that up, we'll work our way back around to Lower Decks, folks. Bear with us. We're going a long way around. Now, I love the fact that Burnham is finally in the captain's chair.
Yes.
Okay. Burnham's always been one of the center characters in the Discovery story arcs, but it's always been difficult, I think, to have that character as a secondary character in the sense of a first officer or a demoted first officer and a commander and stuff like that. I think it's difficult, given the way Star Trek's worked all these years, to have that central character as a subordinate instead of a captain. Like I say, examples: Picard, Janeway, Sisko. They've all been core characters in their respective programs, but they've held a central rank, a high rank. So I think now for season 4, I think it'll go forward a lot better than it has done, because Michael will be in the hot seat calling the shots.
Well,
so I think
one thing that I think agrees with that is there's been this. We want the show to be about the ship and the captain, right? And yes. We had a show about two different people that we love. We have Discovery, the ship that we love, and Michael, the person that we love, and they were competing for our attention when they shouldn't have had to. And bravo to them for trying, because I get why they wanted to. We needed maybe the first 3 seasons for everyone to come to cheer for Michael and grow to love her, and want this badly enough for her that when it's a reward for all of us, right? That she's now the captain, and we get this mating, I think, of our quote unquote, traditional Trek storytelling, if you'll pardon the pun, vehicle, with the captain and the ship doing the thing. So, excellent point.
It's a good. I think it's a good example of the hero story, where they lose everything, they fall from grace, and they build themselves back up. So at the start, Burnham was potentially going to be a captain of her own ship, and as we all know, everything went Pete-Tong. She basically fucked up, you know. That's it. And I think, to be honest with you, a lot of people, that's a sticking point for a lot of people, but I don't mind it, because it shows the humanity. It shows that heat of the moment humanity, where she made the decision in the moment, and that had the domino effect that led to the war and everything else that came thereafter. Now, that brings me nicely on to go for it.
I was going to say, what she did when we started with her, the Battle of the Binary Stars, that was a live moment, Kobayashi Maru, right?
Definitely.
She was in a no-win scenario, knowing that the outcome was going to be disastrous either way, but she had information, didn't share it in the best possible way. But in that moment, no different than the Kirk we know who cheated to win the test. She just happened to be in an actual test, the actual scenario, and the outcome was, untenable.
The one thing I want to say as well is, now I want to stress from the start that this isn't a dislike of Burnham's story or Burnham's character.
Oh gosh, no,
because
not
I do like the story and I like the character. I've liked, maybe there's been a few moments at the start where I wasn't too keen, but as she's grown through the seasons, I've grown to appreciate and like her more. Now, as I said before, that I am glad she's in the captain's chair, because that is where she should have been early on. What I don't agree with is the manner in which she ended up there. Now, let me elaborate on that.
Sure.
Repeatedly through the last 3 seasons, she's been insubordinate. She's gone rogue. She's made decisions and that have been both correct, but at the wrong time, and incorrect at the right time, so forth and so on. And it's not the way I would. It's not something I would have done myself personally, in the respect of that she was insubordinate to Saru and she ended up being his first officer, and then she went insubordinate again and lost that, and then she did something off her own back again, and then ended up becoming captain.
Right.
Now, is she the best person for the job? Definitely. Now, more thanks to Tilly. God, I love Tilly's character. But Tilly isn't ready for the captain's chair just yet. But we haven't found out who is going to be Burnham's first officer. So with a bit of luck, it will be Tilly.
I would like to see that.
I would love to see that.
With an extra pip
the reason why I say
on her collar too.
Definitely. Oh, of course. Now, the reason I say I'm not happy with the way Burnham ended up in the captain's chair is because, for me, there is an element of rewarding bad behaviour, if that makes any sense.
It does feel like that, too. But there was also a implied passage
and that's
of
not
time.
A criticism.
Right.
It's not a criticism. It's just an observation. But that being said, the whole story arc has proven that she has developed as a person. And that's the thing we need to concentrate on, is Michael Burnham as a person, as a character, has developed. The decisions that she's grown a lot, and that's the most important thing. And that is something that a lot of people seem to forget. And a lot of people concentrate on the point I just made about the way she became captain. It's a sidebar, but it's not the main point. Like I say, the main point is the character development, and that's what's most important. And I feel that a lot of people
say they say growth is not linear. You don't grow in a straight line.
No, definitely. I mean, let's be honest with you. We could all say through personal experience that we've been up and down, left and right, and we've all done things that we think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I'll go over again. I wouldn't do that, right?
Exactly. But the thing is we've all done these things and we've all shown redemption, and that's what Burnham's story has done. It's shown that, yeah, you're going to make shitty decisions, And as the Admiral said in the last episode, you did it your way. It wasn't the way we, paraphrasing a little bit, it wasn't the way they would have done it, or believed to be the right way, but her way turned out to be the correct way.
Right.
Exactly. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but, words to that effect. So, yeah, brilliant. Burnham's in the captain's chair. I would have done it a lot differently.
Maybe a half a season more of being straight-laced.
Yes. I think maybe not half a season. Maybe a couple episodes into season 4, maybe.
Yeah.
But the thing that sort of brought me to that train of thought was the fact that, okay, we've got the last episode. The last 20 minutes or so have felt a little bit rushed. And what I didn't like, and this is the main point of why I don't like how she got there, was the unceremonious, dethroning of Saru as captain.
It felt so, and
where was the handover? Where was the classic, like in
true? Yeah, he was narrated out of the, and it would have been nice to see I stand relieved moment.
Yeah, a goodbye scene, because there's that love between Saru and Burnham, and I think it would have made a difference to me had we seen that. I am relieved. I relieve you. I am relieved. And then that
I love those scenes, though.
Yeah,
and that's such a nerd thing, though. I mean, honestly,
I hope they rectify that in season 4. To be honest with you, I hope we get to see maybe a flashback to the reason. We know he's gone to Kaminar.
Oh yeah.
So we know where he is. It's just from a fan point of view, I would have liked to have seen that sort of that handover, because then it's like it's closure. Saru's story on board the Discovery. Now, I will say this: one thing I have been really impressed with Discovery is the fact that they're not afraid to take risks. With the show. One of the points that brings me to that was you've had him on your show recently, Noah or Rin.
Yeah.
My new favorite Andorian. But I tell you what, something? It says a lot about both Noah's acting, Noah's story, and the way they put it all together, that even though we only saw him a few times, when he was shot on the bridge and disintegrated, I was like, ugh.
Oh, it was a big gut punch, for sure.
Back up. And I don't know whether... I don't like that as a trope, to be perfectly honest with you. They get a character, you start to like it, straight away it's a popular character, and then just go bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I don't like that, but it does show how good that character was. And again, it was another unceremonious, unexpected departure of a character.
Right.
And excuse me, I kind of lost train of thought there a little bit. I'm getting all emotional about the loss of Noah.
Well, I'll tell you, with Saru, one thing or a couple of things that I do appreciate about what we saw, even that brief, glimpse of him and Sakul on Kaminar, is that, you saw that thriving metropolis of a city on the bay that wouldn't have been there, lest Saru had liberated his people, right? And you recognize 1,000 years worth of civilized growth, and then Saru has the surrogate family now to replace what he lost or sacrificed with his sister when he made the trip into the future for Burnham. And so we see, they show us so much about that story in such a little bit of time that both times I think it's been now that I've watched that, that's captured me both just in the imagination with, what an impactful scene, just a small scene, that advanced city on the bay was, to just kind of sell the point that, recall Kaminar has thrived in a blink of an eye for Saru, and to of course you would want to go home for a little bit, I think, but we know Doug's back in season 4. That's a fact, and so we know that we'll get something with Saru. It would be probably a little weird to see him come back as a subordinate on Discovery to Michael, but we don't know, I guess.
Well, we can only we can only sit and hope and wait and see what happens with that one, really.
Maybe we get to see
I
another
think,
ship here and there,
oh yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see another ship of Kamina. I mean, that's a different conversation for a different time. Is the fact that the Federation has a certain style of ships, but maybe I would love to see more Kamen. Would you say Kaminarian or Kaminar, or how would
I
you
would
say that?
Kaminarian. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kaminarian ship, maybe. Let's see some of those in season 4. I mean,
Embrace
I
these
like a bit of
diversities
ship
of
for it,
design. Well, it's
Oh,
like when you go back and
definitely.
look at Enterprise, and they showed early, the Andorian and the Vulcan ships designs, and then the standard hull saucer nacelle design took over Starfleet, and there were no influences in design technology for centuries. It would seem now we get these vastly different and imaginary, just these imagination spanning starship designs from Discovery this season. Like the colony for rainforest ship, the way that the USS Nog looked. I mean, even the Voyager J, as familiar as that silhouette was, there was so much different about it that you're just boggled, right?
I mean, I loved the USS Nog.
Yeah,
it did have a hint of Ferengi about shape and the design.
It felt like a little bit of Ferengi, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Now, as for the Voyager J, now I think there was a little bit of fan service there in respect of they kept the shape, they kept the style and the form of the original Voyager,
and it's an Intrepid class.
Just changed it.
They kept the class.
Yeah, give it an angle. I mean, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more flair with it, maybe. I mean, it's like, for example, I'll give you an example of why I think that should be done. The Enterprise D, the Enterprise D to the Enterprise E. Okay, still the Enterprise, but a completely and utterly different design. A new design, and a beautiful one at that. So that many years into the future, and they haven't really changed the design or given the name to a new class of ship. Is that a bad thing? No, but like I say, I loved it, don't get me wrong, but I would have liked to have seen some imagination, a new design completely. I would have liked to have seen maybe an Enterprise, maybe. Yeah. They could be on like now. What would they be on that far into the future? It wouldn't be J, would it? It would be maybe L or M or something, maybe.
So I mean, it could be still. I would like to know the fate of the Enterprise J. Speaking of ships so you go from the D to the E, and I had a hard time coming to like the E, and now I love it. It's like one of my favorite Enterprise designs. Nothing's going to top the refit Constitution, but we could talk about that on a whole podcast. So, but the the J could conceivably have been in service at the time of the burn, and I would expect then that would mean that it was probably destroyed by the burn. But I would like to know for sure, because if it weren't destroyed, it could then also conceivably still be in service in the future we are witnessing, because a ship that size, designed for what it was intended for, would have a centuries-long service life. The Galaxy class was intended to be in service for a century at least before refit. And we know that ships like the Miranda class and the Excelsior class served for century plus lifespans. And we're talking much more advanced ships design, materials, availability, and the size of the J alone. That ship is beyond vast. It's quite large. The nacelles are a kilometer long themselves. So if that gives you a sense of scale. If you didn't know, now you know. So I mean, it's a universe class ship for Christ's sake. It was meant. I think it was. This is all speculation. I like to think about this stuff because I'm a huge Trek nerd. But I like with a name like the universe class. I anticipate that ship was intended to traverse interstellar space as a generational ship to literally, maybe. Search and explore other galaxies. So maybe it's out there somewhere away from what the burn could have affected. Who knows? We don't know that the burn traveled throughout the entire galaxy.
Well, that's it. I mean, on the subject of the burn, I mean, I was a little disappointed to find out the reason for the burn. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I'm disappointed is that me and a couple of friends had this theory. I'll edit the correct ones in and the incorrect ones out on that. So yeah, I had this theory that when Burnham sent the Red Angel back through the wormhole, that it never made all the way back to where it should have been, that the calculations were off or something happened and it landed 900 years into the past or whatever, or however many years into the past that the burn was,
right,
and exploded, self-destructed, and it was self-destruction of the Red Angel that caused the burn. And I found that was a reasonably popular theory, and then when it wasn't, I thought, oh, okay, I was proved wrong. But happily, because I did like the story with Thrall.
I did too. Sakol,
sorry, not Sakol. I don't know why I said Sakol, but that's the. I'll edit that bit out. So yeah.
Well, I liked the story with the burn as well because it was so very Star Trek, in its the blending of an emotion with some not even organo techno babble in a lot of ways, because the idea that it blends in a sense of symbiosis that has been prevalent in Trek, that you and your environment are intrinsically connected, is not an unfamiliar theme. If you want to argue, I would ask you to go watch Star Trek 4 and then come back to me, because that's kind of the message, is that you and your environment are symbiont, right? And for Sakol to be, he developed on that planet and had that connection because of, basically it was a radio amplifier into subspace, and the kind of, his grief was so powerful that the galaxy heard him cry. And it was unfortunate what the result of that was, but that is a very empathetic, something that you can empathize with when you feel pain like that. You want to be heard, and you want someone else to feel that pain with you. And what an ultimate expression of that, an unfortunate ultimate expression of that the burn was. But I found it satisfying, mostly because of the way they told the story, through the connection with Saru, the way we got to see Gray manifest and be welcomed and embraced by Hugh, with just it was all of it paid off for me. Plus, we got to see some serious space fight pew pew, man.
On the subject of Grey, I loved that moment. I loved it so much because of what it was a metaphor.
Oh yes, yes.
It was the metaphor of all the people that have been looking for recognition, representation, for just to be seen as being there, as being a human being, as being physically there and recognized by people around them.
Yep.
The fact that Grey was a hologram and that Hugh could see her and everybody else could see her and all that. That was the perfect metaphor for what everybody's been trying to do, and I think that's brilliant, and that's how it should be. Everybody should be seen, heard. Nobody should be pushed to one side or ignored because of their beliefs, their sexual orientation, their gender orientation, whatever, their geek orientation, whatever,
Right.
Some people like Star Wars. Okay, fair enough. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Exactly. No, that moment is incredibly powerful, and exactly what you said. One, yes, that recognition of representation, but also in a very literal, the metaphor is as powerful as the very literal statement of Star Trek as a franchise, with our questionable but well-intentioned history of trying to provide representation an episode at a time. But Trek literally coming to the front and saying, we see you now too. And just in the story, and that was part of it, that just one emotional punch after the other, and kind of bringing it all home with the cause of the burn, and seeing, getting to see Sakul grow through that too. It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing whether we get a character development from Sakul in season 4.
Oh yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to getting back to some, maybe not classic Trek in the episodic sort of way, but the Trek that, there was, you've got your captain, you've got the decisions, you've got the alien of the week sort of moral dilemma style, not exactly that exact trope, but the style, the way they used to do it. And now that we've got Burnham in the captain's chair, we can get back to, like you said earlier, the ship and her captain.
And I think too what we get now is we've got a Federation to put back together, and so we can visit worlds, theoretically, technically worlds that we as the audience have never seen, but in the story could have been member planets of the Federation that we haven't known of, that Discovery goes to visit to welcome back or explain how we can the Federation can make amends. So there's a whole, there's a way to tell a connected art story, but also serve that, like you said, that alien or visit of the week that we're used to, or mix it in. Every other episode or something is a new couple of episode adventure to another place where we welcome back or try to convince our friends to come back and join us in the Federation. I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you. Some sort of that. I don't want to call it traditional Trek. Because I do like I think, I feel that that's where Enterprise landed square in the 4th season, were these 2 to 3 episode arcs that were connected throughout the season. But you got a couple of 3 episodes that told a good, solid story that if you strung them together, you'd have a great little bit of a Trek movie, Enterprise was killing that in the 4th season. And something like that, with Strange New Worlds, with season 4 of Discovery, would be great. And, kind of like, what are we going to see with season 2 of Lower Decks? Because, at the end they split up. Are we going to follow Mariner on one side and Boimler on the other? I mean, is because that I don't want to see any of those characters change out. I like the team. That doesn't mean that they have to be on the same ship, because that could provide some very interesting, unanticipated storytelling dynamic for that show as well.
I think that we will get. And by the way, just before I make this point, nice segue back onto Lower Decks. I'll be honest. I had a whole little skit ready, basically referring to getting into a turbo lift and making our way through the TARDIS back to Lower Decks. And I think you know what I'm getting at with that particular reference there.
You mean the vast internal space that exists inside of the starship? I have no idea.
Honestly, what the actual... Anyway, that's a different one. But yeah, back to Lower Decks. Personally, I think we're going to see Boimler back on the Cerritos, or maybe the other way around.
Oh, we see. Wouldn't it be fun to get a little time on the Titan?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I think
I think to be honest,
hold ourselves in, but yeah.
I mean, Mariner getting stationed. I think she misses. I mean, you see in the last episode, she misses Boimler. She's messaging him like crazy, right, and he's ignoring her. I wouldn't put it past Mariner to actually get transferred to the Titan just so she can be back to annoy Boimler, because I think she secretly fancies Boimler.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
I think there's definitely something going to go on in that one. Or I think the more plausible theory is Boimler, as per his character arc through season 1, will probably fuck it up and end up back on the Cerritos.
Yeah, that is probably the more likely scenario, honestly. But let's hope for maybe 1 or 2 episodes with some sweet Troy Riker cameo action, because
definitely.
I tell people one thing that you get with Lower Decks that you probably don't expect is an arc. There is character growth throughout the season, but it does it in that classical Trek way. Here's something. You can catch people actually saying that there's no character building of Data and Picard and their friendship through the seasons of TNG. And I'm sorry, but if you haven't watched TNG a lot, then maybe you don't notice it, but it's blatant there.
Oh, it's there.
It's
definitely there, yeah.
And it's the same. They build that in the same way in Lower Decks in a very short amount of time, because you don't need episode 1 to watch episode 5, but if you watch them 1 through 5, episode 5 is a much better reward because of the growth that you start to see. And by the time you get to the end, you want everything to pay off, right? And,
yeah.
And then you hear the music, and you see the Titan, and then you see the ass whooping, and it is glorious.
Did you fanboy out when the Titan turned up?
Oh, I think I woohooed out loud, and it was early in the morning here and then the way it closes out, with to the tune 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, oh,
Oh,
and
that
Indiana.
was
Oh, not
class.
this again.
I love that. I
Oh,
love that. And
and that's canon. So that is how Burnham has "Let's Fly," and Riker has you just got to imagine that if it's just if it's a low warp, it's like to the tune of warp 1.
I mean, on that subject, there's been mixed reactions to Burnham's tagline.
Right.
I kind of like it.
I like it.
I think it has that. It has that. That it really suits it. It really suits the Discovery.
It does. It does
really
that too.
Yeah, it fits the ship and it fits the captain. In this case, Burnham.
It was the delivery too, and I mean that with the fact that
Let's
it's the way she said it. But then, like, her smile takes over the entire screen as she says it, and you can't help. I mean, if you can't smile with Sonequa Morton Green, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
she's
I'll say this. I'll say this much, right? As I'm recording this, I record this in my bedroom. On my wall, I have a wall of fame, which includes my current record of the Star Trek celebrities that I have met over the last couple of years. And I'm sort of grinning in most of them. But there's a photograph from Destination Star Trek here in the UK from 2018 where I met Sonequa Martin Green. And honestly, the smile on my face and on hers is beaming.
Yeah.
She is the most wonderful human being. The most wonderful human being. I was nervous as hell. She was the first photo shoot I had scheduled for that weekend. And as you go into the, I mean, I don't know if this is the same at Las Vegas or not, but you go into a cubicle, which is probably in maybe 30, 40 feet across by 30, 40, So say 40 feet by 40 feet, maybe more, depending on how the setup is. And you would queue outside, and then you would queue inside around the wall of the cubicle. And you'd move down the line, and you'd get closer and closer and closer to the actor that you're getting the photo, in this case, Sonequa. And I was like really getting nervous. I was like, okay, I'm going to meet Sonequa Martin Green. Being a Walking Dead fan as well, this was a big moment for me as well.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm getting closer, and I'm like, but as I'm watching everybody go through, now she does this thing where she greets, and I mean this sincerely, she greets everybody individually. And what I mean by that is that every person she will interact with differently. She will do something different. She will say something different. And she has this uncanny ability to put people at ease. Now, I was, like I say, nervous, and I was still nervous when I got to the front of the queue and it got to my turn. And to be honest with you, I'm one of those people where I just stand straight, try not to, make any funny noises or anything like that. Smile, get a photo, and leave. And I had no intention of doing anything. I just had the intention of going in, standing next to her, cheesing, and then away I went. But she put a hand on my shoulder, and just simply with a small tug down, so like just putting a little bit of pressure on just to drop my shoulder, the next thing I know, I'm picking up my photograph from the printer and I'm doing the Vulcan salute. She's doing the Vulcan. She's doing the Vulcan hello. I'm doing the Vulcan hello on the boat, and it dawned on me that when she put her hand on the shoulder, it was almost as if she was directing me into the more relaxed and I must have like seen what she was doing and then done the same thing.
But it was all you didn't have a recollection of it all happening, did you?
No. I mean, once I started to sort of come to terms, I was like, yeah, that really. I mean, it happened. But she is a beautiful, beautiful human being, both physically and personality-wise and emotionally. She is a beautiful person. So much, much love to Sonequa and to the character of, Burnham. And, some people give her a bit of stick for the character, and I think that's completely unjustified. You don't have to like the character, but some people do give it a little bit too much, which, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean, she's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I'm actually sort of fanboying out there. I apologize to the
That's all right. When the
Just-
world gets back to normal and we can go to conventions again, I intend to catch up and meet so many, not only of the Trek folk themselves, but our Trek family from the Twitterverse. That as this thing drags on across the world, this pandemic, just one of these days it's going to happen.
it was definitely.
There's talk of Trek Vegas, or I think there's something happening in August. Star Trek Las Vegas maybe is what it is, but there's folks talking about doing that. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to be soon enough or safe enough, but hey, if it is, I'll do my best to be there. But there's just so much pent up energy for us to interact right now, and things like this, being able to talk to our friends on podcasts or interact with these folks on Twitter is a nice bridge. But oh my goodness, when the day comes that we're let loose.
I mean, let's be honest with you. I mean, as a final note, however long this takes, it will take as long as it needs to take to make sure that the world is safe, that we're all safe, and we can all come back and meet each other again. I don't like to get political on the podcast, but I do want to say congratulations. I know he's going to be in office now at least well over a month by the time this podcast airs, but to Joe Biden, I mean, day one in the office and he was straight to work.
Yep.
Straight to work, dealing with COVID. So hopefully by the time this episode airs, things will start to be making progress.
There'll be some
so hopefully, like I say, folks, this thing's not going to disappear straight away. It's not going to disappear overnight. Just because maybe restrictions or have been lifted and things start to improve a little bit, don't immediately think that it's all over and done with. Just keep maintaining safety, looking after yourselves, keeping healthy, washing your hands, all that sort of thing. Because the more we do that and the more we continue to do that, the safer it will be when we do get to meet up again.
And the sooner
and as soon as it is possible. Yeah, as soon as it's possible, even if I have to swim across the Atlantic, I am going to buy you a drink, Mr. Decker.
I look forward to that for sure.
So, as always, and to steal a phrase from your good self and your wonderful podcast, Bad Choices and Bourbon, the linear nature of time means we have to bring things to a close. And just like yourself, I don't like to end things, so you will be back on again in the future. I would like to thank you for filling in for Mr. Cameron today. People will miss him because some people do actually like him. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure actually having to have a wee chat about Star Trek with your good self.
Oh, my
you
pleasure.
are a good friend and a wonderful human being. So, as always, don't know who you are by now. Where have you been? Where have you been, people?
Yeah. Yeah,
Dan Decker is practically Twitter royalty right now. Let's be honest. So just in case somebody hasn't seen you before or doesn't know who you are, please let everybody know who you are, what you do, and what you're up to right now, please.
Yeah, man, you can find me, and everything branches from my Twitter handle at DanDeckr. Find me as the Commodore. Like and subscribe there, and you can find my podcast, Bad Choices and Bourbon, at Bourbon Bad on Twitter. I think that's the easiest way. Everything else kind of springs from there.
Good man, good man. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are more than welcome to follow us at Spock Week on Twitter, and you can also find my good self at Alva Android on Twitter as well. And if you are a returning listener to the podcast, you already know where to find us. But if you are new to the podcast, go back, have a listen to Mr. Cameron, the Crabbit Ginger, and if you like his style and you want to follow him, you can follow him at Crabbit Ginger on Twitter. We're also on Facebook as well, same handle at Spock the Week, or at Spock the Week. Or just search Spock the Week and you will find our page. Follow us on there, and we do try and keep up with the Facebook page, but we tend to be more Twitter orientated than Facebook orientated, so we do apologise for that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you like what you've heard and you want to say thank you or support us in any way, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Spock the Week pod, and you can buy us a pint. You can buy as many as you like. You can subscribe if you wish, or you can just not do anything at all. It is up to you. Just keep coming back and listening to our show. That's what we appreciate the most. So on that note, it just leaves me to say live long and prosper. And from my good friend at Toadsuck Studios. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's us.
Oh, brilliant. Toadsuck Studios in Central Arkansas, United States of America. 6 hours behind us. And let me tell you, Mr. Decker, it is not much better in the future. It doesn't get any better, I'm afraid. So thank you for joining us. Live long and prosper. Dan, would you like to say goodbye to the good people at home, and we'll end it there?
Live long and prosper, folks, and good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to Spock the Week. Tune in next week for more Spock the Week action, and never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on the catcher that you are listening to us on. If you want to follow us on Twitter, then you can find us at Spock the Week. Drop us a message, tell us how we're doing, or make a suggestion. We're welcome to all input from all our fans. So don't hesitate to get in touch and follow us on Twitter and on our Facebook page as well. Why not join us in 10 Forward if you like what we do and want to say thank you? The link for our Buy Me a Coffee page is in the show notes, so please check that out, and hopefully we'll see you there. If not, we will see you next week. Live long and prosper. It's up to you. As long as you come back next week and listen to us once again, we'll be happy to have you back. Live long and prosper.